Hi and hello watch fans and welcome back to Chronopolis Radio, hosted by The Real Time Show. I'm your friendly neighbourhood watchmaker Rob Nuds, joined by our friendly neighbourhood jeweller Alon Ben Joseph and an old friend Nicholas from BeauBleu to talk about not just his brand but the importance of events like Chronopolis to up and coming superstars of the industry. Nicholas, welcome to the studio.
Thank you for the invitation.
So tell us where we find you in the world as we record this episode.
At a very fancy place, actually. I'm located in Dallas for a couple of days because we actually opening a tiny warehouse
So
here
humble.
in the US.
I don't think I've ever heard anyone lead with the tiny as the descriptor of their warehouse. It's obviously a sign that things are going well for the company. Why don't you give us an update on how things have been since we last spoke to you?
When he's going pretty well, actually. I think last time we saw each other, we were like roughly around like 6 or 7 people working with and for BeauBleu, and now we are like almost 16, and we plan to be 20 at the end of the year. So, and even if it's a tiny warehouse and size doesn't really matter, it's important to now we actually we a bit less and less focused in France, even if it's one of our main markets. But US is actually flirting with us for a long time. So we want to be, we want to answer those opportunities and see what we could do. So that's why step by step. I mean, that's how it goes, but it's going pretty well. Yeah.
How many years ago was it now that you founded BeauBleu?
It's actually 8 years and a half. It's going to be 9 years in September.
That's incredible. Almost a decade in the field. I'm sure that you hoped things would go as well as they've gone when you started, but did you ever really see the pathway from the first day to where you are now?
Yes and no. I mean, like the first 3-4 years were like pretty predictable. I mean, super hard to to start the business, and like it's watch after another, etc., etc. But I was not expecting that growth at the end of this decade, because like basically we doubling everything, every year in terms of people, like watches, or profit, etc., etc. And I always say that we have like all the time in the world. The idea is to be here in 20 or 30 years. I don't care how, but we just want to be here in 20 or 30 years. So if we're selling 10 watches a year or 10 million watches a year, I don't really care. I don't have an agenda outside of just being a watch brand for on the long run. So, but even if we said that we have all the time in the world, and like if something it's too much for right now, we're gonna postpone for next year or in 2 or 3 or 5 years. Even if we still do that, I mean, the growth is actually super, super high. And so it's that part was very unexpected, because we always see each other like a little bit smaller than what we are, and facing like, okay, actually the demand is way higher than what we expected. And like, we're like, but we probably nobody in that country or stuff like that. Or BeauBleu watch is never going to work in the US. I can say that because my wife is American. So I was like, I can pretend a few stuff, but I was wrong. I mean, like now it's probably like between our second or third market. It's competing with with Japan, but I was not expecting that BeauBleu could work or could have like sort of interest. So yeah, right now everything is unexpected, but in a good way.
It's actually very interesting what you're saying, Nicolas, because while I'm listening to you and looking at your map on your website of all the retailers around the world, the heart of it is Europe with 76 retailers. Only 3 in Japan and only 3 in North America listed on the website.
Yeah.
That means that the sales are direct to consumer.
Yeah. 70%.
explain why you are in Dallas and you have that tiny DC, and what you hope it will do for you.
The thing is, like, we try, because also I'm a designer, so I try, to fit with my user and not necessarily with my client. So the thing is, like, with the US, they want something super quick. They want like a no-brainer process, even if they are okay to pay more taxes regarding to the tariffs and so on. But they're like, I want something like, yeah, a no-brainer process. I buy the watch, I purchase the watch, get it in front of my door. That's it. So, but they wanted it quick. They wanted also have like, yeah, it's a very seamless process. So that's why. And yeah, so 70% of our sales comes from our website. And we're just opening like few retailers in the US. That's why we only have like 3. But I'm guessing that this year it's going to be a little bit different. We would be roughly around like 10 or 15. And but the idea, yeah, it's to. And I have 2 type of user. I have my client, which is located in the US, and I also have my own team, and they're the first user of that logistic, and they're like, it could be like for a pain in the ass, like with all the papers and like, and actually the value of their work, are not necessarily pointed in the right direction. So we're like, okay, maybe we should like, do an extra effort, create something in the US for everyone actually to have like a very seamless experience and be able to focus maybe a little bit more, a little bit more in Japan or other countries in Europe, etc. All coming with other ideas or other type of qualities. So that's actually we're here.
Where did you find all these retailers?
Right now, we are actually pretty lucky. It's like pretty much like inbound retailers, especially in the US and Japan. And actually, thanks to the fairs, because like the one in the US was because we went to New York for a fair, and actually Japan because we went to Switzerland for a fair. So the idea when I go to a fair is to just feel the temperature, like, okay, what type of work did we provide for the last 12 months? What actually do they understand from our design, our purpose, our goals and stuff like that? Do they feel comfortable discussing with us or like, of course, like working with us, etc., etc. So basically it's, yeah, we just, feel the pulse and see if we go to the next, the right direction. Basically it's that we don't come to affairs with like, okay, so we need like 11 deal, who could around roughly whatever 20K per thing. No, first of all, I think it's very stressful to think like that. Also, you're more likely to be disappointed during the fair. It's the after fair which actually makes sense. So yeah. So right now, basically, I will say that like 60% of our retailers are inbound. But also we actually doing a shift this year, having like, so of course, him, Mark, a sales director, who now is becoming like a international business developer, and he's going to focus on on the rest of the world. So, and be a little bit more active, because also I think right now we apologize a little bit less for being here. Before we're like, weird hands, weird brand, etc., etc. And now it's been 8 years, so we're more comfortable saying like, we don't promise, millions of sales or anything. We're like, okay, it's been 8 years. We're comfortable with our watches. We know how to sell it. Do you want to give it a try? And because it's, even after 8 years, it's still a try, and it's not a no-brainer. But yeah, we apologize a little bit less. So that's why we feel more comfortable to be like, hey, we work with this person for 8 years, for 7 years, for 6 years. Among the 100 retailers, almost no one left, the boat along the way. So it's also a good sign. We have those areas of improvement, so we know that we need to improve on those parts. So, we try to give a clear view, and that's the reason why I think people are very optimistic.
I do want to touch again at some point on this success and the growth of the brand, but you opened up a nice segue into talking about Chronopolis itself. So you are someone who clearly sees the value in events, and you're patient enough to go there and read the room, as it were, and see what each event can be for you individually. What do you imagine Chronopolis will be for BeauBleu, and do you think it fulfills a need that was lacking in Geneva Watch Week as it was?
Yes, in so many aspects. The thing is, also we have to understand that it's not, for BeauBleu, it's not his first fair. So now we know also the benefits of going to a fair. On the first place, when someone asks you to register as a exhibitor, you're like, is it like an ego move, and be like, I want to show off and being in Geneva or whatever? Do I need to make sales? Do I need to make sales, international sales? Do I need to build sort of a retail community? So you ask all those questions. For us, we started like to go to fairs when we felt, just to feel the international perspective. And actually, at the first fair we went to, was like, I don't know, 6% out of 10 who knew or heard of seen BeauBleu somewhere. That was not very clear. And the second year was like 8 people or 9 people. And then the last one was like 10 out of 10, roughly 10 out of 10. So, so now we feel comfortable and keeping going on going to fairs. And for Chronopolis, actually what was missing, and that's on a very personal aspect, is I come from the car industry as a former car designer. So when I went to fairs, everything is super bubbly and like it's show off. You have like, I don't know, fireworks and parties and whatever. They try to come up with so many different ideas, and you have like the client, the visitor who can barely who cannot buy a Ferrari, but could have also the thrill of getting into one, touching the steering wheel, having a trip for a couple seconds or minute, and then can leave. And so it's, even if the price are either similar or different, I mean, you still have like a emotional connection, between the watch lover and the watch. And I think what was missing in Geneva is a little bit that thing, because it's super professional, which makes sense, but creating, sort of to get back to the basics and be like, watch doesn't save anyone, so it has to be only pure pleasure. So let's not pretend that we save anyone. So let's focus on what could be nice. And actually, Chronopolis for us was a very good choice, even if it's the first edition, but I can already know regarding, the type of brands, attending the events. And what we liked about it is we consider that all those brands are the cool kids, of watchmaking, like the newbies, the one who stand at the end of the classroom, next to the heater, cracking jokes and, but still having good grades, I guess. So that's the type of, where we see how we see, the brands and having sort of our own specific, identity. Some people will say, oh, micro brands. Some people will say independent or whatever, or indie or newbies, whatever. But at least having all together with also people who run Chronopolis with this sense of communication, the sense of a little bit of the twist, and stepping aside of this magnificent postcards of these old watchmakers alone, putting his hands, and looking at the sky and and all that thing. And yeah, so I think that's what the watchmaking industry needed.
It's dawned on me that there's a really interesting thing going on with the organization of Chronopolis and the collaboration, the very active collaboration between the exhibiting brands, the cool kids, and the organizers, Après Demain, Heist Out, this very cool, very current, very trendy communications agency as well.
Mm-hmm.
That gives it a different flavor because Chronopolis has kind of stuck the landing on the branding, shall we say, immediately out of the gate. It's almost a brand itself. It's like a potential movement. The one question I have for you for the future, because I think you're absolutely right saying that, this is a really cool selection of brands probably united by their coolness more than their watches. How big can an event like Chronopolis become, or should it always remain a smaller, more curated cohort of active players in the entry-level industry?
No, but as you said, I think maybe Chronopolis is more or should be or will be more a brand than a fair or a movement. And also I think he answer to the need of like those new watch lovers or watch geeks, or like around, I don't know, 25, 30 years old, who has also a very different relationship with watches. I mean, our parents and grandparents, they're like, I don't care about watches, but I need a watch because I turn 18, I'm getting married. I mean, like, they knew that a watch will, in a way, they will encounter, a watch, in their life. For the new generation, they're like, I didn't know that. I'm not aware that I should have, or I could have a watch for this or this event in my life. But they're like, but actually it's a cool product. Tell me more about it. Oh, okay, it's a time of style. Okay. The craftsmanship is a thing, but not really. It's like, okay, tell me more. What's the story of a watchmaker? Like they want to know a little bit. Everything should be behind the scene, new generation. And I think with an idea like Chronopolis, we're embracing this idea of like, there's a new way of communication. It's the same word, basically, than the old brands and stuff like that, but the purpose is a little bit different. And the way to get to that purpose is also a little bit different. So I think it's just more fitting with what the new generation is looking for. I mean, of course, I guess the feeling of getting to Watches and Wonders, and be like so impressed by all those brands and historic brands, and it's cool also to I guess to feel that thing, but that's the cool feeling for the first 10 minutes. Then after, you're like, I'm a watch lover, or I'm a future watch lover or geek. Tell me more, give me more, and if they could feel that there's a sort of a distance between, their desire of knowing more and maybe buying more, that creates sort of friction. And I think Chronopolis, fits more with how they want to perceive their journey into the watchmaking industry.
Talking of the younger generations, you are a young papa.
Yep.
I'm curious, as an entrepreneur and designer, what did it do for you? Did something change besides lack of sleep?
Actually, I sleep, so that's fine. When it changed, as an entrepreneur, it's actually quite, I don't say difficult, but I mean, there is new question who lands on the table, and you have to answer it. What type of entrepreneur you want to be? What type of father you want to be? I mean, it's been 9 years that I'm with my wife, and of course, we discuss so many of those aspects. But when it's getting real, I mean, like I think I have more ambition to be a good father than being a good entrepreneur. But then after the baby is here, BeauBleu is growing and very fast. And that's also the moment maybe sometimes to work even more to make sure that everything is stable and not to be too cocky or too confident about that growth, because I'm more suspicious about that growth than anything, actually. But yeah. And then on the other hand, my baby, and you're like, okay, so I mean, he's young. Should I see him that often? Because I need to work. But I mean, like, it should start with, it should start on the first day. So actually, I'm lucky enough to be able to come home early. But I had to deal, with some frustration of being like, everything is important. Everything is a priority. And everything is on the long run, So, I mean, considering that I'm building a brand for the next 30 years and having now a baby who's going to turn 30 at some point, I'll be like, okay, so what should I do with those two, with those two aspects? I think also you get more efficient when you work. You get basically you focus on what is the most important. At the beginning you work hard. You like also maybe the idea of this hard worker and be like, I don't sleep, I don't see people, I don't go on vacation, I'm proud of what I'm doing, it grows, and you, I don't know, you feed yourself with that sort of mythology and stuff like that. And then when you have a baby, you're like, yeah, it's cool to be a worker, I guess, and stuff like that. But it's better. It's even cooler to be efficient and be like, let's do it like this, and in the atmosphere and stuff like that. So I think now you get to the bottom thing way quicker.
So I'm a liar. I said last question, but I have one bonus question. One that will spark a full episode with you, Nicolas. So I'll just boil it down. Will the etc., the drop number 1, Pastam, be present at Chronopolis?
If we have space, yes. But yeah, that's one of the project that we're building is etc. So everything, after, all the watches and so on, but still speaking about time. Yeah, we'll see.
All right. Well, I'm sure everyone present at Chronopolis will already have or be heading over to the BeauBleu booth. You might find us there. It seems like the kind of place where we want to hang around as well. It's always great to talk to you, mate. And congratulations on another wonderful year. And here's hoping it's going to be a great fair and another great year ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much.